Guess what I did this morning? I coughed up blood. Yay! What did you do? No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, coughed up blood this morning. Not a lot, just a bit. And I know exactly why it happened, so it's nothing to worry about. But definitely not fun when you cough up blood or when, blood comes out of any part of your body. Generally not a good sign, especially for men. So yeah, anyway, like I was saying, this is kind of the end of the story, so let me go back in the beginning. The reason why I haven't posted for the last couple of days is because the last couple of days have been intense, especially I'd say the last 3 nights or so. I think it was 3 nights ago that I barely slept at all. I was completely exhausted, and since then it's been better at night. Like I was actually able to sleep the last 2 nights, but definitely not the normal restful kind of sleep. It's like I wake up multiple times throughout the night, and when I finally wake up for real in the morning, I'm just exhausted, as you can maybe tell from my appearance. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the reason why. So on Sunday, I'm just gonna take the day completely off, not respond to comments, not record a video, literally do nothing except just relax all day, suck on ice because that's the only thing I found to reduce the coughing, and try to force down food because that's the other thing that I've kind of experienced lately is complete and utter lack of appetite. So that's one of the downsides. Like I've always been very happy and excited and optimistic about the prospect of lowering the dose of Decadron I'm taking to reduce the inflammation in my head. And I'm really looking forward to the point where I can finally stop completely. The thing that I didn't consider is, oh yeah, maybe the appetite's gonna go away because increased appetite is one of the side effects of this drug. And last year, even though my appetite did come back, last year there was a period of a couple months where I had absolutely zero appetite and I had to force myself to eat and it was horrible and I lost a bunch of weight. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I did not consider that. And even though I like to be positive and optimistic and it's very possible things will be different this time, it is also very possible that the exact same thing as last year will happen. In fact, yesterday I went to the hospital for my first immunotherapy treatment in 6 weeks, and they weigh you every time you go there. And in the last 2.5 weeks, I've lost 9 pounds. So that's definitely not a good sign. And it's not like, oh, I haven't been hungry, so I haven't been eating. It's like, I haven't been hungry, but I've been trying to force myself to eat as much as I can because I know that it's important. Yet, even with that, I've lost 9 pounds in 2.5 weeks, which is a lot. So definitely need to find a solution for that. As I mentioned yesterday, so I had blood test, appointment with my doctor, and then my immunotherapy treatment. So, blood test, nothing to say about that. Meeting with the doctor is just asking basic questions, things like that. Sorry, I just dropped something that I need to show you later, so let me pick it up. So yeah, meeting with the doctor, not that much to tell, just basic questions that me and my wife had that I had to ask him, things like that. And then the treatment went well. The downside is yesterday morning, when I woke up, there was a period where I coughed so much that I ended up actually throwing up. That was the first time it happened. It wasn't that much, just a mouthful, and I know it sounds gross to say a mouthful of puke, and trust me, it was definitely gross. But, it's better a mouthful than, a truckful, as an example. So, yeah, that was yesterday morning. Then I had my appointments at the hospital. Everything on that front went well. When I did mention the lack of appetite during my, well, actually, there's two things about the lack of appetite. First of all, I mentioned it to my doctor, and he's like, yeah, sorry, you're on your own on that. There's nothing we can do for you. When I did mention it during my treatment, one of the nurses like, oh, you can use like Ensure or Boost or one of those like, shake replace like meal replacement type things, and they had some. And they're like, you want one? I'm like, why not? So they gave me one, and I drank it during my treatment. And then I kind of started feeling not really nauseous, but that stage right before feeling nauseous where you're like, I could potentially throw up, but maybe not. It's kind of like if I throw up, I won't be surprised. I don't feel like I'm gonna throw up, but I wouldn't be surprised. So that kind of like lasted. My friend ended up going with me to the hospital, so he drove me home. And luckily for him, I did not throw up in his car. That would have sucked. Unluckily for me, I threw up in my apartment. Luckily for me, it wasn't in the toilet because the pressure with which it came out, it would have gone everywhere if I wasn't in the toilet, and that just would have sucked. Like even the toilet, there was so much pressure that it literally like splashed everywhere, and I had to clean all the toilet and like around the toilet after I was done. So yeah, definitely not pleasant. And now I'm wondering if I should take more of those drinks. Plus, like there's just a ton of sugar in there, so I'm thinking like probably not the best solution. Today when I went to the pharmacy to pick up cough syrup, and we'll get to that in a moment, I asked like, here's the situation. Do you have any suggestions, recommendations for me? And she did mention those types of drinks, which I'm like, okay, maybe, maybe not. We'll see about that. But she also mentioned like, the protein bars, like the type of things that athletes and stuff like that eat. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I can probably find some with decent levels of sugar, so it's not too intense, and that could potentially help. So I'll look into that. In fact, on the way back, I tried to stop at a store. Well, I stopped at a store to buy some, but even though the sign said open and they were supposed to be open, they were closed. So anyway, I'll probably have to go for that tomorrow. We'll see. So, a couple weeks ago, once I was done the radiotherapy or during the radiotherapy week, one of my multiple radiologists gave me a prescription for cough syrup because one of the side effects of radiotherapy would be an increase in symptoms, including the cough. And in the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to take it. I'm already taking enough drugs. I probably don't need it. I don't even know if I'm going to have those side effects. So I'll still take the prescription in case I need it. But I didn't take it. And then yesterday, when I spoke to my doctor, he's like, I get it that you want to avoid medication as much as you can, but the dose of the prescription the doctor gave you really isn't that high, so you don't need to worry about that. And you could do damage to your throat and to your lungs if you cough too much. So I would recommend for the time being, while you're experiencing this increase in symptoms, go to the pharmacy, get the cough syrup, and take it because you don't want to cause damage. And then the fact that I coughed up blood this morning just confirms what he told me yesterday. And yeah, so what they gave me is codeine with a special little syringe where I can just measure the exact amount and then. So what I was kind of expecting, because the thing is, throughout my entire life, I've almost never taken any medication. So every time they prescribe me and I try a new medication, I'm always kind of surprised. I never really know what to expect. So I was kind of expecting the, cough syrup you buy over the counter, like cherry flavored, like super sweet type thing. And instead of a syringe, I was expecting like take one or two bottle caps or something like that. Like that's what I was expecting. Turns out it's way more professional than that. And also the taste way more horrible than that. So I'm glad that it's not overly sweet because those cough syrups just suck and I'm trying to avoid sugar as much as I can anyway. So in a way, I'm kind of happy. But on the other front, it just tastes horrible. There's this really bitter aftertaste. You take it and for like a good 5 minutes after, you just have that aftertaste in your mouth and you're like, oh. So anyway, not the best. But if it can stop the coughing and keep me from coughing up more blood, it's definitely going to be a good thing. So, yeah, that's kind of been a summary of the last couple of days. So, definitely not pleasant. Breathlessness is still there. Coughing is still there. It's been getting a little more intense in the last couple of days, which is why I went out and got the cough syrup. Hopefully that works. I've also considered the possibility that the lack of appetite could be partially due to the fact that I've been using ice to alleviate the cough, because that seems to help a lot, sucking on ice. But I'm thinking maybe that kind of like tricks the body into thinking that I'm eating which is why it's not giving those signals that I should be eating, that I have the hunger. So that's what I'm thinking. I'll see in a couple days once, I start taking this, and hopefully I can stop sucking on ice, and then we'll see. So maybe that'll help a bit on that front. I really don't know. So yeah, that's been the last couple days. Definitely not the most pleasant, but it's all part of the journey, Yeah, all part of the journey. I'm really looking forward to this part being over, though. So yeah. So hopefully things are kind of going to go back to normal in the next couple days, or at least cough. At least the cough is going to go down, hopefully. And then I can go back to making videos on a daily basis. So that's kind of the plan for the future, but we'll see what happens. So I don't want to say, well, apparently I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say talk to you tomorrow, because I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, but see you at some point in the future.